Good morning. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. And I'm meeting up with my amazing brother once again, Guardian. How are you today? Welcome.
Pretty well, thank you. So I'm also sending lots of love to everyone from Transylvania, and it's 9 p.m. here. What time is it on your end? I think, but yeah, we
It's
just changed on the clock, so we're further apart with 2 hours, I think.
yeah, it's super confusing when it does that. It's like the Tower of Babel time, in my opinion. I've almost given up trying to translate people's time zones for them recently. It's been like because you in the UK just barely shifted. We shifted, I believe it was the 16th. I flipped my calendar to the new month, so I can't see it right now. But and then before that, it might have been the ninth. Before that, then another place had their daylight saving already, and and Australia hasn't done theirs yet, or they just did theirs. It's so confusing. It feels like the Tower of Babel. Basil.
Yeah, yeah, like they were contemplating on, I don't know, like just keeping the summertime here in Europe, but they managed to delay it again. So
Same.
I'm not sure what they're waiting on.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. I look forward to when they finally do change it all back. But yeah, so I'm with you. We have the same thing. We had that was up for a vote actually when lockdown happened in Washington State anyway. So yeah, so those of you who are seeing us going right now, that was my fault. I didn't actually realize that Guardian was having a daylight saving thing at the same time as the UK. For some reason, I got that mixed up. So I posted it that we were going to go live later than we are going now because daylight saving has been observed in Transylvania, where it's quite rainy and stormy there, just like here.
Yeah, I mean, you can go outside and do stuff if you really have to, but it's not optimal, to say the least.
Something about this is just I'm interested that I'm even talking about this, but this was something that I was observing most of the morning today. Like, for a while, I've been noticing that there's been this a connection with wind spirit and the elementals and stuff. But wind spirit specifically has been coming in a lot more recently. And then, no matter what country I touch in with today, we've all had very windy days all over the world.
Yeah,
Like the
just like
places that
last time
are
we
tropical.
talked about. Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, like, just like the last time we talked, so we also observed that we also had very windy weather. You as well. So it's still happening. I'm not sure like who wrote it in the chat. It was like the winds of change. So
Mm-hmm. It really is, and it feels like kind of like dragon spirit. The energy of it does feel to me like this motherly energy that's very nurturing, but she's also like, y'all need to stop acting foolish kind of energy at the same time when mom comes in and says, all right, that's enough. That's what it feels like when she comes in. It's not bad, but I observed being able to communicate with her today, this morning. So I just found that really fascinating. I'd never done that before, where like I gently asked that, the wind would stop blowing for a moment, and it did. And then it would come back. Like, even though I was in the funnel of all this wind, it was a lot of fun. I'm actually still kind of, my hair's still kind of wet because then it started to rain, but it's warm. Anyway, um, it was just fun to connect. And I thought that would be interesting to bring up because, there's a lot of this elementals and fae energy coming up lately. And I know this sounds weird, but I link this to ancient Egypt. And
really, okay.
yeah, and I was hoping that maybe we can go down this path a little bit in conversation. And I know you are like well versed in this area, this ancient Egypt, and from my
Well,
perspective, you are.
yeah, yeah. From your perspective, I'm well connected, but I'm not an archaeologist or a scholar. I
Yeah.
have a very rudimentary understanding of many of these topics. So, But I know stuff probably more than your average person, but I'm not an expert on it.
Right. Well, for instance, I don't know how many of you know this. I've shared it recently to a few people. Um, Guardian has created this amazing creation that is a channeling of Thoth in a book format that had, so you can get the book on a variety of different platforms, as well as on his YouTube channel, which is linked, by the way. His YouTube channel is linked, and there at the front you can find this YouTube audiobook, and it is just fascinating. There's this book of codes that I'm most like, wow, like I have had so much result from reading them aloud in a sacred space. For me, I create a ceremony space. And I've just heard a lot of different similar results from you from checking this out. So, and you got the voice from our favorite Thoth, or excuse me, the Emerald Tablets reading. The guy that did the Emerald Tablets that we prefer, he's
Yeah,
the one that did the voice.
yeah. It was an amazing moment when he accepted the offer.
Yeah,
Yeah. But for the first part, like the teachings of Thoth, the Atlantean, like I read the book. I mean, I created the audiobook from scratch, but for the continuation of it is called the Book of Immortals. Like that was recorded separately and released, I think, like 2 years later than it was written because it was not time yet.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I had more money and I actually hired someone to do it. But
yeah.
yeah, I really enjoy how it ended up. It would have been great to do it for the initial one, the longer version. But yeah, I just didn't have the budget then.
That was awesome. I just recently watched it again. Actually, it's really powerful, and it was quite the honor to be on the journey with you, because I got to observe it. For those of you who don't know, I mean, it was fun because um, I I am English speaking is my first language, and so I was able to like have a reason to like review Guardian stuff, and I got to read it before anybody, and like it was cool to watch the period, that phase of your development as you were connecting with the Thoth energies so frequently, and you truly embodied, like, this is an example that I love, especially because it shows how, I mean, it was in the perfect tone, voice of Thoth. Like, it wasn't, you can tell that it was truly channeled. And I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit about that experience when you were channeling that, and what that was like, and what your life, how it was affected because of it.
Yeah, it was it was a very profound change that happened afterwards. But yeah, like the initial one when I did the initial one, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
also going briefly for the Book of Immortals too. That's a bit different. But yeah, like for the initial book, the Teachings of Thoth the Atlantean, I was basically reading. I'm not reading, but I didn't have time. But I was listening to the audiobook of the Emerald Tablets. Like I read it like I think in 2013 for the first time, and I had several wow moments with it. And while I was reading it, I felt like I was going in like a trance state. It was like almost like hypnotized by it, but nothing really special happened then. And I think it was in 2020, I believe, it came up again, and I was constantly listening to it in the background. And then we went on a trip, and like when you're reading something a lot or listening to something a lot, like it's your subconscious is like filled with those words or sounds, and I kind of had that effect. Like my mind was absolutely filled with that audiobook for that weekend, and I started to recognize that those are not just like random words, sentences, or just concepts from the book, but rather starting to become something more cohesive. And then out of, I don't know, like curiosity, I just thought, hey, like I'm going to ask a few questions, like why not? And then some answers came in the same voice and same tone as the book. I was like, wow, like I found something here. And I think when we came back, um, I got like a pretty clear picture for the first few chapters. So I sat down to write. It was very difficult in the beginning because I was like not in tune with those energies. And I think it gave me like migraines when I wrote the first few chapters.
Mm.
And yeah, it was a very difficult experience because there was just so much energy and information coming through, and I didn't understand what I was doing. So I was more like taking notes, or like, how do you call it, dictation or something?
Yeah, that's right.
Someone dictates something in your head and you're just like recording it. And after 4 chapters, I was like this is not working. And I was like, okay, like I have to understand like what I'm going to write about because it's very difficult this way.
Yeah.
And like literally, it was like giving me a headache to do the writings. And after that, I kind of like got like brief concepts and like a summary in a very strange way. Like I understood the entire chapter up front, but not in a conscious way. So it's a very
Right.
difficult thing to explain. And I know, like, I heard very clearly in my head, like, the first few verses for the chapters. And when I wrote that down, then the rest just, like, came through. I just didn't really have to think about it.
Like a
And yeah,
flow.
like, it was in a very, very intense flow state. And it's very interesting because, like, it's not something that I could come up with. So I hate poetry. I'm not a literature guy. And also, like, the wording and the whole rhythm, and like it many times it like rhymes and it's like in verses, and like I just could not come up with this on my own. So I'm not that person who thinks like this.
Right.
Yeah, and when I was reading stuff back, and I was like, holy shit, like I wrote that. So, and also that's why I stated on the cover of the book that the book was written by Thoth the Atlantean. I just recorded it, so that's his writing. I just brought it into form into this world, basically.
Yeah. I totally get what you mean by that. I know some people are like, "Oh, yeah," but at the same time, I don't channel as much as you do, I think. I Your earlier flavor of what you did on your channel was a lot of channeling stuff. You used to
Yeah,
always you do light language and all kind. You did a lot of light language back in the. I forgot about that. That's what you used to do it like every week, didn't you?
really, but yeah, I do it quite frequently. Yeah,
Yeah. And I find that uh, to be true though as well. Where when someone tries to give me credit or thanks for something, I always go, I was just sitting here. It just happened to be, that I opened myself up to the channeling of it. It's kind of, it's not diminishing credit. It just feels like, well, this was a team effort. I was just the vessel that said, okay.
yeah. They're very complex stuff can come through if you're ready to tune into those types of energies. So,
Yeah.
and I also found out that I'm a Blu-ray soul, or however you want to categorize it,
Yeah.
which have like an extra, I don't know, like affinity or ability to tune into very sensitive and mostly hidden stuff to other people.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I managed to do it. Like also like later on, I think like I recorded the Book of Immortals later. No, like a year later, I think.
Yeah. I think that's about
So,
right.
yeah, and I only released it like a year ago or so. So it was like sitting on my computer for 2 or 3 years or so.
Yeah.
Because when I was like writing it down, I wrote like 6 chapters, I think. And I thought this is going to be like a continuation of a new, it's going to be a new book or something. And after 6 chapters, it was like, that's it. Like nothing came I was like, okay, I guess like I'm not ready for it, or it's not time yet.
Right. Yeah.
So I was sitting on it and like leaving it there. And after like 2 or 3 years, I don't remember, I had the realization like that's not a new book, but rather the continuation or the finishing up the previous thing that I wrote
Right.
in 2020. And I got the info that, hey, like it was not time to publicly release that type of information at that time. And now you can share it. And I was like, okay.
Now it's time.
But yeah. But yeah, like it was a very different experience compared to the first occasion when I wrote it. So in the beginning, I mean, the larger part, the Thoth, the Atlantean teachings, which are in verses basically, and it's rhymes. Like I was taking more like dictation, so I was like taking on the duty of the scribe or something similar. But for the Book of Immortals, it was like a far more integrated experience.
Interesting.
So I wasn't taking dictation or anything. I was like bringing forth the information that I've already integrated in myself. So it was almost like I am the one remembering those specific things about which I'm sharing, basically.
That's
And that's also why the tone and the language of it is very different.
that makes a lot of sense too, because it would be a whole different flavor over time, and then your ability to anchor it in and know it. Um, oh, hey, I just saw something. I'm going to ask you guys. Can you guys see the messages I'm putting up on the screen? That when I put up words, just
Yeah, I can see it.
okay. Vegan Vixen says she's not getting the messages that I'm putting up. That's very odd. Oh, this person's not getting it either. Oh, we're not on Facebook. Weird. I'm supposed to be multi-streaming to Facebook. It's not on Facebook. So if it is, it's not connected somehow. Can I fix that without ruining anything? There we go. Hopefully everything still keeps going the way we want it to. Okay, so now we're live on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I didn't realize. For some reason, it toggled itself off. I'm really liking this topic. I was hoping we can explore some more, maybe some tips or tricks or methodology regarding channeling. How did you first learn to channel? Like, is there something that would help somebody new to it that you could give them suggestions for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a super complex story and process as well.
Yeah.
But it's not something I initially intended to do because I think in 2013, and I was first introduced to the channelings of Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anka, if anyone knows him. He's very popular, so he's a very old timer and big channel. And yeah, I was very much inspired and influenced by that. I was like, holy shit, like I want to be able to do that. So I also I think I also did like a course with Bashar on like how to channel,
Oh, cool.
which I guess did something, but yeah, like it's a far more complex process what is happening, especially until you like make a connection with your guides or whomever you're connected with. Like I mostly channel my guides when I ever do stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, like I started in 2013, and I think I also got. I mean, I guess I did it kind of, but after a few months, I like had the realization that like I'm not really ready for it. Like I still need to do a lot of work on myself to make this happen properly. So I completely dropped it. And after I think like 5 or 6 years, I was like, okay, like I completely abandoned it. I didn't even want to do anything like that. And in 2020, when the lockdowns happened, it just came up again. And yeah, like there was just, I also, of course, I had a lot of spiritual experiences between 2013 and 2020. But it was like all for myself, like I kept it all to myself. And when the lockdowns happened and I had this, like, I wouldn't say, like, my guides were like urging me to, like, hey, like, you have to share these stuff or you have to put it on YouTube. And I was like, no, I'm not going to share this. And after a few months, I saw reason and I started to share channeled information on YouTube. And yeah, like that's when I actively started to channel. Once again, it was very strange because by that time I had like a very deep connection with my, I don't know, like higher team or a light team, however you want to call it. So I did get information in a very fluid way. I was completely not used to sharing that in any shape or form, written or spoken. So
Right.
if you like go to my YouTube channel, you can find. I think I left the first few videos up because like those were like super experimental stuff. So I'm just figuring out how to share this type of information.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I mean, it was great because I kind of had to like hold myself to it to like do something every week. So it was kind of also like an exercise how to channel and like how to tap into higher vibrational frequencies and bring through information for other people. And it evolved a lot during the year, so it constantly was changing.
Right. Yeah, you did get better. It seemed like you got better and better at it, is like one of us would say. But um, that was where I came in too. That's where I actually met you, Guardian. If you remember, that was the same time frame. That was cool. It's been 5 years. That's so weird to think, and not quite 5 years. I stayed off grid till your birthday, actually, in 2020. The day of your birthday was the day that I ended up displaced. My daughter and I, my 5-year-old, and I didn't have a home all of a sudden, and
Mhm.
we were thrust back on the grid, basically, because we were basically off grid before that. And at the time, I knew something amazing was going to happen. I just didn't understand what it could possibly be. But I knew that here comes some cool stuff, and here we are, you know. After a while, I found Guardian on YouTube, and it was that community that um, he cultivated, that container of space where you could be safe and connect to others like you. It was super, super inspiring and also a lifeline of mine. And it is such an honor to be able to, my own flavor kind of version of it, but replicate that same container that you created for me and for those of us who were there at that time. This can be a really lonely and scary road, awakening, when you don't have anyone else to talk to. And there's nobody else that can validate your experiences. And it's also really fun to get to connect to people who know what you're talking about and maybe even have tips or tricks to add to it to make things easier. Yeah.
And that's how I learned a lot of stuff by listening to, I don't know, like podcasts or just people talking about it just as we're doing it right now. It helped a lot, especially in the beginning years.
Yeah. Yeah. And that segues into something else too. We are meeting in our Zoom meeting that we usually have it every week. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Most of the time, it's like 97% of the year we have these meetings, and today's one of those days, and it's free. So there's a link there's not a link in this. There's a link in YouTube and in Telegram for anyone who is interested in joining us for those free Zoom meetings. But I'm happy we brought this up because this is a message I've been getting a lot lately, is how important it is to maintain your community or find a community, spiritual minded, like-minded individuals, because especially right now, because there's a lot that's coming in that can make you quake inside, like not be certain of yourself. And there's a lot. We're in the time of revelation right now. We're in it, and it's picking up pace. So, and then there's things that are coming out that, like, Tartaria is a topic people talk about all the time now. And, it's not surprising that at the same time, they just closed the Arches National Park in Utah. That really, everybody sees these all the time. This is like a symbol of this of deserts in our country here, and they're closing the park.
Why? I
They're
haven't heard
claiming
about it.
they're
What?
claiming it has to do with government funding, but I'm for them to do what they're choosing to do. Like if you had to pick any of the national parks to close, that would be one of the last ones you'd want to do, unless you're trying to contain or keep the energy away from people, because it's a very activating place. This is near to the Four Corners area. It's got a lot
Mhm.
of ancient. If you look at it, you can see it's actually buildings, not rocks that have been melted or something like that. Some kind of great heat. The Arches is a big place. But so anyway, they just closed that just a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Interesting. Also, like, have you heard about they found something under the Great Pyramid of Giza?
Yeah. I keep forgetting to bring that up. Tell me about
Yeah,
it. What?
I don't have much information. I just heard about it too. Yeah, like, can I share my screen maybe?
Yeah, yeah, you should be able to.
Mm, let me show you to it. I think this is my first screen. Yeah, okay. Is it working?
Now I say show on stream.
It's
Yeah,
working,
there you
yeah.
go.
Okay, so I haven't heard much about it. So I think like it's some kind of ground, they use some kind of ground penetrating radar, something from a satellite. So they went very deep and like they reconstructed in 3D what they found underneath. So these huge cylindrical shaped things going down for very, very deep. So like this is the pyramid, and like this is what they found underneath. I'm not sure what the heck it is. I didn't really have time to look into it, so this is what it looks like from the ground perspective. Yeah.
Right.
So who
That,
knows? Probably there are a lot more secrets down there.
there's a lot about this. I only know a little bit of it, but so this example that he has up right now, this was done with a LiDAR, a ground penetrating radar, and it goes. So if you look above, see this how small those structures look in contrast to those tubes, those blue tubes below it.
They're
I
freaking huge.
Yeah, I heard someone say that they were roughly four times, almost exactly four times the size of the structures above, the main structures. So, I mean, they're quite deep. And um, there's further fuzzy stuff below that they're not showing in this particular graph you have up or the image you have up. But I've seen where it shows evidence of likely a mimicked or a repeated structure as above, so below. So
Hmm.
the buildings on top are also underneath, is what some, but they didn't at least show us the evidence of the full structure. That's part of it. So, um, what's more is that these cylindrical tubes meet all the criteria for sacred geometry in the form that they are. They're perfectly, precisely separated. These tubes that go around the sides here are large enough to accommodate a full-grown man's height. So it's likely these are actually corridors. They're hallways, like little places that you can walk down the spiral. That'll be quite a walk back home again for sure.
Yep.
But I mean, it's quite large, and the way that they're placed and its perfect symmetry, many of anything I've seen where it's a perfectly symmetrical placement like this has some other like energy producing capacity. Like usually it's harmonics of the earth, and so this is showing the same kind of cyclical energy sharing that you'll see in a lot of our rudimentary medical devices, when they're like, for instance, the defibrillator, that thing that they go clear and they shock the person. It's called the
Mhm.
defibrillator. The way that works is very rudimentary, but in comparison, similar to what is this more advanced technology here. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. And they only just brought this up, what, 7, 8 days ago? At least that's the
Right.
last one I started hearing about it.
Hmm. And also on the same spirit, I mean, it's not really related. On the same spirit of like discoveries, like this is, I'm not sure, how is that satellite called Discovery, or what did we shoot out into space to make some
Oh,
crazy images?
I know what you mean.
Or Space Telescope, I don't remember which one it is.
James Webb. James Webb.
Yeah, but basically, we are very accustomed to seeing the planets of our solar system from Earth's perspective, because like that's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But now that Space Telescope was able to like go beyond to the other side of the planets and like shoot some interesting photos from the other perspective of the planets. Like this is at the pole of Jupiter. So at
Oh,
the pole of Jupiter, you can see like these. I think there are like these eight spiraling storms at the northern pole of Jupiter. So
Jupiter's
we haven't,
Zeus.
yeah, like we haven't seen this before because you can't
No,
see perspective.
that's really interesting, and it's symmetrical also. If you'll see how the swirls, the spin on each side and above and below are perfectly separated, and that's
Yeah, like it's
fascinating.
like the spin symbology that you sent me on Telegram a few days ago.
Yeah, yeah, it's very much like that blue spiral in the sky.
Yeah, yeah. And this is like another one. Like we haven't seen Saturn from a different perspective. Like this is the pole of Saturn, and it has like a hexagonal storm at the northern pole.
Fascinating.
I think this is the southern pole, if I'm correct. So it on both ends it has this like hexagonal storm at the poles.
What's that all about? Why
I'm
is
not
it?
sure.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Matt, Maddie told me that there are 4 planets that have this type of pull, and it's fascinating to me. Like how it would create such straight lines. Straight lines don't seem to be that of nature.
I mean, you have it in water crystals, like
Right.
water usually crystallizes in six directions or hexagonal shapes. And
Fascinating.
also you have the honeycomb as well. So,
Right. Huh. That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that.
of course, and stop sharing. Okay.
That was really neat. There's something else I wanted to mention before we left that topic about the tubes underneath the pyramids, is that I mean, I only just touched on some of the information, and I forgot about it actually because there's so much coming in right now. Um, but one of the aspects of it is that there is evidence of this being a multiple occurrence. So this isn't the only group of pyramids where you'll find these cylinders underneath that are exactly distributed in the same manner. So they have the same separation from each other. There's the same number of them. They're the same depth. Like it's like the roots of the pyramids. And it's just in such a repeated cycle that to me, that tells me that that's truly what all of the pyramids probably have, or many of them do. It shows us what's more used, why the pyramids were used in a different way. Like you and I have talked about before, Guardian, in earlier conversations. Like, remember we talked about the cartouche that like rejuvenates the body and stuff, and like how people used to and still can spiritually go to these places and find it as a charging station instead of a home for your corpse. You know what I'm talking
Well,
about?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. So instead of being a tomb, I know like archaeologists like to label pyramids as tombs, but I think they had like a far more complex purpose.
Yeah.
Especially that they have never found mummies in pyramids. So
Yeah.
I so basically, the archaeology that we know, or at least the official story, is just based on theories and speculation because they don't really have anything
Right.
substantial to like prove that that's correct, but it's accepted as fact for some reason.
Right. Right. Well, and you can even see it. It's in the details of the like you'll see different depictions, writings, and characters found on these different structures, and now they're actually proving and showing that you can tell the inclusion of the kings who were laying to rest there and stuff like that. It looked like vandalism. You can obviously tell that someone wrote on top of something that was already written there. Like they
Oh yeah, or
changed.
they destroyed the hieroglyphs on the walls.
Yeah, exactly. And then claimed it as theirs. Like, okay, this is my resting house, and like it's really it's kind of cool to be able to see that, and it's clear that these were used for other purposes, like if you bring in this is a fun comparison. Most of these chapels, this is what people are talking a lot about right now. These chapels, these older churches, they're not designed to accommodate pews, lots of places for people to sit. They're designed, if you think about it, it makes more sense that they're designed for people to lay down on the floor and bring in the frequency of what are these older buildings. This is what's crazy. Okay, I jumped ahead. Is that you know how Dr. Emoto had discovered that we leave a signature on water, and they've taken that further. Any of you who watched the Lord of the Rings series, you'll see at the beginning where they're using the same frequency or harmonics with sand, and it changes to sacred geometrical shapes. Well, they've just recently linked this to these old chapels and churches. Is that those windows, those ornate symmetrical windows that you'll see in all of these chapels with really interesting, what do they call it? Stained windows and stuff, the stained glass windows. These shapes are identical to what seismically, or however you say it, the frequency of that structure produces in your body. So you can like drive down the road and say, I need that one, because the window tells me what it's going to do for me. And then you go in there, and then they play, instruments or even just drums, anything, bells typically. That's why the bells were taken out in like the Depression era. But it's that then you could lay down and actually rejuvenate your body. Like it's healing to be in. And that's why they took over churches and turned it into churches.
No. But these are like mostly Gothic churches that you refer to, right?
There are all kinds. Like some of them look kind of Gothic. They have like the Tartaria tops where the blimps used to go charge. They always have that like bulbous thing on the top. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and also regarding going back to the pyramids, like I only have experiences with the Great Pyramid. I don't know the rest. I think like all of them can serve different functions because they're not the same. Like they don't have the same how do you call that? The proportions, yeah. They don't all have the same proportions. Some are even bent or like broken in two. Like they have an angle that like goes downwards, or you can even. I think it's on a hilltop. There's like a pyramid that like it's like open. Like you can go down into the core of the pyramid, and from the central chamber, there's like a shaft going completely upwards to the apex. So I guess no one got buried there either. So all of them serve a different type of purpose as well. But yeah, like just in my experience, like it's a very activating place. I'm not sure. I guess you can also recharge as well. But when I had my hypnotic regression, I went back to a life that I lived in ancient Egypt. Like I remember that we used it to communicate with other star systems. So basically, the entire structure functioned as a huge amplifier of energy, and you could like use that type of catalyst to like project forward your whatever you wanted to communicate or project forward into different star systems, depending on like how Earth was aligning basically at that time.
Right. And that isn't the perfect comparison to these cathedrals. That's what I failed to do. Was thank you for connecting that. Like that, a lot of these structures, these pyramidal structures, we're finding that you get the same kind of healing inside of them.
Yeah, like I
You
was
know?
also attracted when I was living in that big city here in Romania. We had from a similar time period. We also had an old Gothic church, and I was also attracted to it quite a few times. And yeah, it was so strange because it's in the middle of the city,
Yeah.
and everything is very crowded around it. But when you like go in, it's like so freaking peaceful. It was amazing. It was like you were transported into another dimension. It was like surreal to think that like on the other side of the wall there's this huge city, like thousands of people and cars and everything, and inside was like a complete peace.
Yeah.
It was very interesting and cool.
Yeah, I've had this a similar experience. It's very fascinating. Like you can feel something's done there, and like I kind of feel like some of the things that have happened over the past, 100 or 200 years or something has been, we all know they're just they've been trying to hide stuff, you know, and I feel like this is a window of time where we're going to start to be able to understand more of what these structures are truly intended for, you know, and in the past little while, 100 years or so, these buildings have been taken up by leaders of clergy, different churches, and things like that. But I truly don't get the sensation that it's always been meant as a church, the way we think of what church means. It's this got nothing to do with religion, for rather, it's more to do with healing and alignment and uh, uh, your toroidal field and all kinds of different, I just saw that Terry just said toroidal on here too. Um, I just got to saying toroidal field. And that, the concept here is, and what I've been getting for a while is that it's more possible for us to heal the variety of things that we've been feeling helpless about than we realize. In fact, there are far more things that we can heal and that perhaps aren't even what we're being told that they are when it comes to illness. That is the theme of this window of time that we're just entering, of this, there's stuff with the medical system that the doctors don't even realize are happening, and it's starting to break down. That's
We're
where,
transforming that too, step by step.
yeah, we are speaking out, saying something about it, right? There was a question a minute ago, so I'm going to answer it real quick. Which park? Donna asked. The Arches National Park in Utah. It's like where you'll if you put it in any search engine, you'll see a bunch of like, it's like almost the sand, the dirt there is an orange color. Everything's orange. It's so bizarre, and so are the mountains. And they're mostly like barren. Like there aren't like vegetation typically growing on them. There are like cactuses and stuff, cacti. I like saying cacti. Um, anyway, so that's the park that we're talking about. At least that's one of them. I'm kind of getting the impression that there's a whole bunch of parks that got closed just as we've been talking. I'm kind of getting the feeling that, and so we'll see. I feel like though this is a good thing. I saw it already mentioned a couple of times in the chat. We had just crossed over some serious energy. On the 25th was when it started for me. I live in a whole different reality now. It's only been a week, and I live in a whole different world. And I know a lot of people have been reaching out to me lately saying they're really having a rough go of it right now. And so right before I came on, I was talking to Josie Jackson. I just wanted to add this out there. She mentioned this too, but the message is hold the line until the 9th, until the 9th of April, and we had the solar eclipse, or, partial solar eclipse occur, the Pleiades were closer to the moon than they've ever been during that eclipse. We have, a lot of things happening celestially speaking, and the stars and stuff. But I don't know how many of you saw this. Oh, should I show? Here, let me grab. I should show you guys what the energy of the planet looks like right now. Bear with me. Let me grab this. What it is that we're getting a lot of energy coming in with these solar flares, and in particular, I thought I sent it to myself. I guess I didn't. I guess I'm not going to show it. You'll notice that the polar absorption rate's really high right now, and that's indicative of a lot of incoming plasma, radiation storm, proton storm. There's been a lot of different words used for it that we're getting right now. And so if this is you, try to ground. Do what you can to be out in nature. What else could someone do when their energy is really static and maybe nervous or feeling anxiety? Just this influx of energy that's happening.
Yeah, like try to rest as much as you can, or like spend time alone, recharging. But yeah, like the best medicine for all of these times is just like go out to nature. Even if the weather is rough, just try to connect with nature. Like spend time alone as much as you can. And recharge your batteries, and like all the negative effects will subside basically. The more balanced you are and the more you take care of yourself, like you won't feel these ascension symptoms in a negative way, basically, because your body is able to maneuver with it and balance it out. Yeah, like also what I got is of course, not all of us. We're not all well balanced, even us. So whenever like these energy waves hit us, they usually like bring something to the forefront, like something that is out of alignment or something that is not working in your system, and like try to pay attention to what it is. Like you can like take it as a sign as your body is trying to tell you something that hey, like this, you have a problem with this or that, and like try to focus more on that, check it out, and see where it leads, basically. Because like the times that we're in right now are like I know like tying up the loose ends or like clearing stuff that still have not been cleared. And like for some people it can be a lot, but for each and every one of us, like stuff constantly come up, layers upon layers of things that we have accumulated throughout our lives. So pay attention to what is coming up during these periods and like work with it. Like that's why it's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the visuals that Spirit gives me. I'm just going to add to that with the visual, because I've been getting this for a little bit too. Is it looks kind of like when someone pulls up like a well-established flower plant, like a lot of different flowers, kind of like a bush or something, because there's a lot of different roots and stuff. And the visual they've given me is that when you pull up this plant, underneath there's still all of this stuff. Like there's pieces of paper and garbage and toys from the toy box, from the sandbox, that's all pulling up, and it looks kind of chaotic and kind of a mess. But it's not meant as like a way to torture you. It's showing you that this is stuff that's ready to go, and I like the visuals that Spirit gives me. I think they're funny. But I did find that. I'm going to show that. You can share some more if you'd like. I'm just going to grab this and show everybody. Okay, I think it's sharing now. You can see right here. This is the map of the world, right? And typically we don't have all of this energy on top, the red and the green and the yellows that we got going here. This is called polar absorption or polar absorption rate. This is the energy that came off of the sun that's still on the planet. The side graph here, excuse all the commercials,
That's right.
is
So you need to
this.
install an ad blocker or something.
I know. I knew I need it. This is only on this website. It's just this one website.
Yeah,
so I just don't usually pull it up on my computer for that.
Okay, so back to the
I know. Here, I'll stop sharing now. But yeah, you can see it. It's really, that's the energy of the planet right now. There we go. That's the energy of the planet right now, this moment, and if you anyone saw, I could tell you it's spaceweatherlive.com is where I was at just now. If you want to go there yourself and look up, there's a lot of information there. This just shows you what the energy is so you can explain it. You can have an understanding of why you're feeling the way you are. It also gives you a temporary aspect to it. It's temporary. It's not something that's going to stick around forever. And this is the third time I've heard that just today that after the 9th, everything's going to get a lot easier. That's only, 7 days away. So a week from today. And that will be National Unicorn Day. But that's the only thing I have written on my calendar. I mean, Elsa's going to be on my show. I wrote that too. I'll be having a show that day. But I don't know why that one's so important. Neptune just transitioned into Aries. And we'll stay there until October 22nd, just like Gandalf says at the end of the Lord of the Rings series. October 22nd, if you'd like to know. And that particular day, Neptune then goes into Pisces in retrograde motion into Pisces until the beginning of January 2026.
And how does that?
Why is this? What was that?
Yeah, what kind of effect will this have on us?
So this is a really awesome thing. There's a couple of points, but the main ones is that every time that Neptune has gone into Aries, there's been some type of spiritual uprising. There's been a bringer of the people who are speakers for the underdog. There's been enlightenment of some kind. And the last time this happened was like 100. I had it written down, but I'm not sure what book it is anymore. Oh, here it is. It happened the day before the Civil War. April 1st, 1861 is when it happened the last time. And it wasn't just the Civil War or I don't feel like it's war that we're talking about. This is an uprising. If you look at the essence of what the Civil War was, there was a restlessness, a stagnation, people wanting to pursue desired tasks that they hadn't gotten around to. There's, a peasant revolt kind of concept where it's the uprising of the people. And the reason I even got drawn to look into this was Spirit had mentioned to me, what was your life like 14 years ago? And I had to think about it. That was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
That was right before the 2012 thing. And they said that was the beginning of this difficult time that you're just getting through now. And so then, it had to do with Neptune's transition. And sure enough, it turns out that it takes 14 years to transition out of a different sign. So for this whole 14 years, it's been in Pisces. And so it's like the inhale before the plunge kind of way for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
What was your life like 14 years ago, Guardian?
Well, I was much more materialistic and lost in the illusion of the senses. I lived a very different life compared to where I am right now. So, yeah. And I was also a lot younger.
Well, yeah.
I think I was like,
it's crazy how much has happened in 14 years,
yeah,
huh?
I think I was like 21 or so. No, yeah, something like that.
You're just a pup. That's awesome.
Also, yeah.
That was right before your big experience.
Oh yeah, I had
wasn't
it beginning in the end of February of 2012. Yeah. 2012 was
a lot happened.
Year. Yeah, it was a massive year for me. So it was in a sense the end of the old world for me and a beginning of something new.
Yeah, me too. For a lot of people, in fact, most people when you ask them when their awakening was, they'll say 2022, 2020, or 2012. Usually there's some in the middle, like, but some people had it before then. However, we all have these phases of awakening. So everyone was activated by 2012. I mean, I can't. So far, I've not met a single person who you mentioned that year to. They're like, "Oh yeah, that year."
And also
Yeah.
220 that year. So that was
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, it's just kind of a fun thing to stop and think about. All of you who are listening in on this and stuff, like, what was your life like in 2011 or 14 years ago? And to it's kind of funny even to compare this week, isn't it? Like, think about what your life was like on the 20th of March, because a lot has happened since then. We've already shifted quite a lot. I'm noticing I'm not even remembering what density feels like, because it's not connecting to me anymore. Like, I've had some profound experiences this week.
Awesome. Do you want?
What was that?
Do you want to share it?
Yeah, sure. Well, it started with it was the 25th. Well, I guess it was the 24th when it really started. But a series of events occurred that led me to have to like be working on my car, and it was very fascinating because in it I wasn't like over upset or anything, but it was an arduous task. I was like, I don't know. And then I had met with a group of people. I think it might have been one of our regular Zoom meetings, and Elsa had come, and she had said that it's the Grand Gesture Day. The 25th is the Grand Gesture Day. And it turned out she was right, because, for her, annually, every year around that time somewhere, someone gives them something amazing. Like, it just ends up working out. So she's acknowledged it as an actual like annual holiday. And it was fascinating because that same thing occurred for me. Not only did like all of a sudden I have like everything and everyone that I needed to accomplish my goal, but in the middle of it, the light changed. In front of me, suddenly the air, because there's always kind of a little bit of like a light to a different color. I can see energy sometimes, not all the time, but 60 or so percent of the time I do. This time though, it was so vibrant and bright, yet it was pastel colors, like Easter colors. And it was in the air itself, like this stream of light. And everything started to change after that. All of a sudden, I've been in this euphoric state, and I've stayed here. I've been full of bliss. Like, I know a lot of people aren't having that experience. Some are. But this experience that I had seeing this, other people also saw it. They saw the rainbow and the light. And it wasn't like a rainbow over the head. It was like, it looked like if you were in a still pond, but the ripples of your own body, just gentle ripples and they were all different colors, and it just stayed that way. And so far, it's just only getting better. And then there have been a few people who showed up in my life who were really upset for some reason. And I typically, because I love everybody and I don't want anyone to be in disharmony. However, I've noticed that my goal, when anyone's upset, I realize immediately it has nothing to do with me. Normally it would stick to me at least a little bit. But what's more is I have to spend the whole time trying to not chuckle at the absurdity of their tantrum. And it's just like, you don't want to laugh when someone's upset. That's rude,
I also struggle with that from time to time, but yeah. I know that's fun. You want to be polite and not
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Dude, who peed in your Cheerios, right? that it's just, and it's not connected to me at all. Like I'm not affected. Normally I would be concerned, because I care about people. I don't want someone to be upset. But yeah, it's just not affecting me. I care. I still care. I just don't care enough to invest my own energy in someone else's contrary energy. So yeah, it's it's been really neat. And this constant state of euphoria, I'm finding it. I my first reaction is I don't want to tell anybody about it because this is my ego, because I know that I'm a pre-waiver and I'm feeling what everyone else is going to feel in a couple of days, and I don't want anyone to feel bad because they're not all there yet.
Mhm.
I'm a pre-waiver. I also feel ascension symptoms before other people do. That's how I can do my job.
Yeah.
You
You
know?
have fine-tuned your body to be this refined sensor.
Yeah. Well, they told me that's why I came. They did it. Well, me probably, my higher self version of me. But yeah, that was the whole point. And so it's we're looking so I'm sharing it so you can see what you're looking forward to, that things are changing right freaking now. We're not talking about 2027. We're not talking, yeah, a lot of stuff will happen in 2027. I also saw someone mention 2040. Like there's a lot of different things that people are noticing in the timelines. And Kim Duffy just said she had a profound experience, like on the 17th, with lighting, feeling much more connected to the elements, still trying to process the shift. So some of us are feeling it. Some of us are feeling it, and some of us aren't. And just because you aren't doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. That's my point. Like it, just because you're not in the euphoric state yet doesn't mean that it's not, just down the road. No more pandering. That's right, Elizabeth. So this is something that's shifting for all of us. And, Mercury leaves retrograde motion on the 7th. We have a couple of sextiles that are happening as of the 4/4 portal. So that's this coming Friday. That sunspot. Did you guys see that sunspot that took up? Did you see that, Guardian?
No.
Big sunspot's taken up. Do I have that up still? I think I'll go back to that website and try to grab a picture for you guys. The sunspot is so big, it's taking up the bulk. It's more sunspot than not. Where is it? Oh darn! I'll see if I can post it on social media, like Telegram and stuff after. I can't find it. But anyway, it's like at least 40% of the sun is under like a variety of sunspots, not just the singular one. This massive sunspot will be Earth facing. This energy that we're having right now on our Earth is because of this massive solar flare that we had a couple days ago, but it was off the limb of the sun, so it wasn't pointing at us. And that one was measured as far greater than the Carrington event. Well, that sunspot's now turning Earth facing, and by the 4/4 portal, by this Friday, it will be perfectly Earth direct. So
Okay. Brace yourselves.
it's going to be awesome. Worst things that people usually will get during solar flare activity is need to ionize. So if you can be barefoot in dirt, grass, helps a lot. We'll usually have water next to us.
Like touch soil with your hands, like maybe like planting or doing something with soil really helps, in my experience. It's too cold here to go barefoot, so.
Right. And that works just
yeah. Sometimes when it's too cold, I like you have these like sun chairs, or how do you call those
lawn
things?
chairs.
Yeah, like I lay down that and I put down both my hands into the grass.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would catch a cold because it's the soil is too cold right now.
Right. Right. Yeah. I've also done it where I've brought out a towel because something about putting my wrists on the ground I don't know what it is, but my body wants my feet and my wrists on the ground at the same time, palms and
Oh yeah, you
wrists.
have these. How do you call that? The meridian system that like goes through the body. You know, like what acupuncture and Eastern medicine uses. Like the lines that are go through here and this spot. If you like stimulate these goes directly to your heart and organs above the diaphragm. So that's what you're stimulating and working with.
Okay. I never understood why. I just knew that my body wanted me to do it. And I've gotten to the point where I've gotten better at listening to what my body asks me to do. But what I'll do is I'll get like a beach towel because I still get that. Like if you, the little like grass or whatever on the back of your ear, sometimes it feels like a bug is crawling in your ear, like I don't like that. But I can be okay in it, but not in a Zen state that I want to be. So I'll bring out a towel like you take to the beach, like one of those bigger ones, and I'll lay on that, but I'll make sure that my feet are firmly planted on the ground so my knees are bent, and then I'll have my wrists and palms down on the grass next to me, and the balancing that I receive from that, I can live off of that for 4 days. Just doing that once, every 4 days if I wanted to. I like doing it more, but we're in the same situation as you are. You never know what the weather's going to be like, you know. But also having salt water near to you helps ionize the air. So what the ionization process is simply we are bodies that do best with negatively charged ions, and we have a lot of them. And then when we get these solar storms, this radiation comes in, plasma comes in, and all that stuff. What happens is it positively charges our ions, and so then our positively charged ions need to be dispersed. They need to be released. It feels a lot like, to me, static. Like when the radio isn't tuned in right. Well, there's a whole bunch of them. This gerbily sound. That's what the energy feels like to me. And so, ionize. When you ionize, what you're doing is you're dumping out all the positively charged ions, and you're replenishing with the negatively charged ions. And that makes it so you're more capable or more able to be in that calm state. It's like your soul sighs as soon as you do this. When you need it, you're just like, your body, your soul, you knew that you needed it. Go ahead.
Oh, I just confirmed it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you can do this too with the air. That's the last thing I was going to add. By small vessels, you can use coffee cups, really, you can use anything. We usually use bowls, like soup bowls, or even like pans that you cook in, and we'll put water in it and a little bit of salt, and we'll just kind of like distribute it throughout the house when there's like, where you're spending more time. And this ionizes the air. I learned this trick from Josie Jackson, actually. She had said something about fill up your bathtub halfway a couple of years ago and put some salt in there and just leave it for the day. And it turns out it really helps. It ionizes the air so you don't feel such like that irritation energy that comes in with solar flares. It really helps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, salt has a neutralizing property to it, so I guess, like it also absorbs a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you do with it after you're done using your salt water? Do you like flush it down, or?
Yeah, I just dump it. Well, usually it's I'm able to use because then the salt will slowly like pool at the bottom. So then I'll end up using that to feed some of my plants. That's what I usually do. I don't want to over salt my plants though, because that's not good for them. But if I can use it for something, I will. But I don't feel like it's kind of like the salt you use to clean a crystal. It feels like it's dirty, kind of. But I might be wrong.
Yeah, I usually bury my crystals, so it clears and it also charges them. So
yeah,
if you have a good place to bury them, it's really good.
It's a lot better if you can bury them. I agree. If you're patient and you have a safe enough place to bury it that like someone's not going to come and pick them up, you know, I
Like I can
definitely,
bury my yard because we have like a fountain here, and I bury it above the fountain. So
yeah,
we have a lot of water here in this area underground, and that's where I usually bury it.
yeah, yeah. They'll find that the result, the energy of the crystal is a different energy. It's fey, earth. It's strong. Like it's a different kind of strength than you get if you cleanse it in the moonlight or in the salt. I prefer it. It's just that I'm not very patient. And so I'm always that name out in the window and stuff when during the moonlight.
I
What was
never
that?
tried that before. Yeah, I'm not sure how much time it takes for it to clear and charge, but yeah. I usually forget it there for a few weeks or months, so I
There you
guess
go.
that's enough time for them, yeah. I usually bury them and like forget about it. So after a few
Yeah,
weeks, I go and get them.
that's perfect. I think that's what I heard. I think that it's like 2 or 3 weeks, 20 days. I've heard different answers, but somewhere around there. So it seems like you forget them until they're ready.
So yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
just at least that's my common sense because like we usually find crystals on the ground, so like that's like their natural finding place. That's where they
yeah,
develop and exist. So in my perspective, it makes sense to like put them back in their charging spot where they originally formed. But yeah,
right. It does. It makes so much sense. Have you ever heard of this bioplasma cell salt?
no, I read about it right now, but I have never heard it before.
Yeah, neither have I. I'll have to look into that. Thank you, Kim. Interesting. Well, it's kind of late for you on the your side of the planet, so we should probably wrap this up so you can go to bed, huh?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Right. Wow, this was such a
Especially,
fun conversation.
I just want to say, like, I don't know, like, did anyone else like get this like recalibration of like getting up earlier, or I don't know, like your biological clock like resetting itself a bit? Like, whenever the sun comes up, I'm like, "Pew," I'm awake. Even though I have like this complete like blackout curtains, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter. If the sun comes up, I'm wide awake.
Yeah,
That
that just happened to me today. I cut you
yeah.
off, excuse me.
Oh no, no, it's not important. So it happened to you today as well.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable day. I forgot that I like being up so early because I never am. Like I'm that person who's awake till 5 a.m. when I go to bed, about 4 or 5 a.m. lately. And last night I was ready to go to bed at midnight, and I was surprised. And I just it was, and then woke up super early, and it's just been such a magical day. I thought I took like an hour long shower, but it was only like 15 minutes. But it just felt so like not having to rush, like was nice. But then I got to go play in the wind and all this stuff before we even had a show that was earlier than we thought. It was just so nice, and I did it not on purpose. It wasn't on purpose, but it was sure a fun experience, because yeah, it was a profound. So Terry says, yeah, her biological clock just changed too. It's the most bizarre thing. Like this is nothing like what I've been doing lately, and all of a sudden it's like, bing. It's
Yeah,
weird.
listen to your body.
Yeah, yeah, and enjoy the wind as it comes in. She's talking to us. There's something there's something to it that I don't fully understand, though there is some stuff happening there. So connected to that. Me too. Up all night lately. Watch the light come in. Yeah. And now here I am. Like I woke up, I went to bed at midnight, man. Like that's like hours before I usually go to bed. Anyway, um, thank you all for being here in the audience today. I saw all of your comments, and I appreciate your just you know being here and in this container, in this space, and I am honored to be part of this. And Guardian, I look forward to it every time you come on. What was that?
I'm also honored too, and also very grateful that we can interact with so many of you. And I'm looking forward to the next one. I hope in like 2 weeks or whenever you have a spot on Wednesday.
Okay, perfect. I would love to. I like that we're kind of keeping a regular, like once a month, sometime every month, we seem to be meeting together, and I like that. That's pretty cool. Cool. Well, thank you all. Thank you again, Guardian. I'm going to let you go to bed. Oh, I should probably do a quick announcement. So yeah, we are doing our Zoom meeting tonight. And then on Friday, I am having another show. Dr. Joe is coming on for a show on the 4/4 portals. So that'll be this coming Friday. And I think we're meeting so it would be this time, like we would have started 17 minutes ago on that day. So, and I look forward to seeing all of you, and thank you all once again. Contact info for you too. So for Guardian, if you, I see that you're pairing in from his channel, so you probably know this, but just for others I'm sure there's others who are curious. The link to Guardian's channel is in the description of this video. If you just go barely down, I linked his channel, and then you can go over to his channel. Otherwise, as you can see on his screen here, Jay Zoltan. That's how it's spelled in YouTube. You can @Jay Zoltan and up comes up. I also, in the community section of my YouTube channel, posted a link to this video, but I also, I'm pretty sure I linked you to that post. So you should be able to click that too. If you can't work it out on this one. And then me, I'm Higher Vibrations. You can find me by writing @Higher Vibrations on YouTube, and it'll pop up. I was lucky to get to keep that name. I was so excited when they changed. I was like, yes, that's mine.
Right.
So, because there are other Higher Vibrations out there, right? So.
Yeah, and after we finish streaming, I will also edit the title of the video to add your link to the title, basically. The @Higher Vibration.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
And then one more thing. Oh, cancel. One more thing.
And
I wanted to do this. I forgot to do this. Can you hear me?
Or I'm not connected.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Okay. Sorry, it was on my.
You can hear me?
I can hear you now.
Well, I probably did it. I was trying to get Guardian. Here it is. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, good. Oh, goodness. I've gotten lost. There we go. I wanted to share this with you guys. So I'm going to put this up really quick it's in the live chat on my YouTube side. But this is how to get to Guardian's site. You can find his book on there. You can find ways to connect with Guardian. Do you offer sessions? Are you doing sessions right now? Or
no sessions right now.
Okay, that's okay. And so if you do want to find any of his content and stuff, you can also find stuff through his website. Mm-hmm. So cool. All right. Well, thank you, Guardian.
Thank you very much. I'm happy that we were able to join and can't wait for the next time. Sending you all much love.
All right.